And he said this plainly. I love that. He's like, man, I'm saying it directly. I'm not mincing any words. He said it directly. And Peter took him aside and he began to rebuke him. And so when Peter hears this, he takes Jesus, he pulls him inside and says, listen, enough is enough, Jesus. This cannot be the truth. And he rebukes Jesus. And you have to know and understand, the word rebuke here, it is the strongest possible term you can think of when it comes to confronting someone. It's the same word that Jesus would use when he would rebuke the demons and he would call out the demons from demon-possessed people, right? This is the emotion that Peter has in this. This is what he is feeling here. Peter, in every way, is disapproving of what Jesus is saying. He just can't understand that salvation is going to come through suffering. And Jesus, man, he's not going to have any of it. And so the scripture says that he turns and seeing his disciples. This is really important because his disciples were thinking the same thing Peter was. And he was wanting to make real sure that his disciples were hearing the same thing he was getting ready to say to Peter. And he rebukes Peter and he said, "Get behind me, Satan, for you are not setting your mind on the things of God, but on the things of man." Now, I don't know, I've never been with Jesus, but I'm thinking if Jesus calls you Satan, man, you're having a pretty bad day, right? I can imagine Peter sitting down with Mark at some point in the future being like, "Hey, Mark, you remember that time? Let me tell you about the time, man, Jesus called me Satan. That was awesome. You got to write that down. Put that in the Bible. Put that in the letter so people can read it for all of history," right? Peter rebukes him, or Jesus rebukes him, and he calls him Satan. Why? Because Peter's doing the same thing that Satan tried to do to him in the wilderness. Because Satan was trying to say to Jesus, you can have the crown without the cross. And Jesus is saying, no, there is no crown without a cross. There's no crown without a cross. The Messiah, the suffering servant, the conquering king must come and die.